The biggest reason you don't stick to your goals is probably not what you think. In the research I've been conducting for the last 2 weeks with both neurodivergent and neurotypical individuals, the research has shown that most of you will keep your commitments that you make to other people 84% of the time. We love this energy. That's amazing. But that number drops significantly to 24% when it comes to keeping your commitments to yourself. Only 24% of the time will you actually do what you say you're going to do for yourself. Okay, this is the average numbers that my research has found. So I want you to imagine that you have a child, maybe you actually do. I want you to imagine that you only show up for them 24% of the time. If they need you or something is unsafe, they need something, and you only show up, you're only reliable 24% of the time. Okay? So how do you think that child is going to behave? And do you think that child will trust you? So when you only keep the promises you make to yourself on average 24% of the time, how do you think your inner child feels? So the inner child is this part of our psyche that has very basic needs, but they're very foundational. So it's like rest, play, love, shelter, nourishment, these kinds of basic things that every child needs. Now, if those needs go unmet for an extended period of time, that trust goes down and down and down. And so, can you think to a time when there's somebody that you did not respect, that you did not trust, and then they tried to tell you what to do? I know I certainly did. I can look back to my childhood and there was a ton of people I did not respect trying to tell me what to do. And what did I do? I rebelled. That's the last thing. Even if it was actually good for me, even if it was something I wanted to do, I would rebel because I didn't respect the person. Okay? So what's happening here is there's a level of, or a lack of, self-respect, which creates a lack of self-trust. So you're rebelling against yourself. Not only are you just like not being able to do the things that you want to do, you are actually actively trying to do the opposite. There's a level of rebellion present. And so if you're trying to start a new habit, whether it's like getting more exercise or eating healthier, or maybe you're trying to learn a new instrument or a new language, or you're wanting to show up for your business and do new actions, like getting up here and making videos regularly, being seen more, like something that is out of your comfort zone that is not yet familiar. If you want to get yourself to do this new behavior, but you don't have a basic level of trust with yourself, it just isn't going to happen. You might as well strap a toddler with abandonment issues having 24/7 temper tantrums attached to your hip. That's what it's like to try to get yourself to do something new when you have this unconscious sort of mistrust where you don't actually rely on your word to yourself. And so it creates this chaos, creates this confusion, it creates this like lack of energy, and absolutely creates a lack of motivation. So, as somebody who grew up with a pretty unstable childhood, I lived in like 20 houses by the time I left home, went to 5 different schools. It was very, very chaotic. I never really had this sense of steadiness or this sense of regularity or even any kind of self-discipline. And I think because people felt bad for me, teachers, even my mom, I would get away with things instead of having this sense of responsibility and discipline to support me to do what was actually really good for me. In the end, that created a lack of self-trust. And so for the last 10 years, I've really been learning how to manage, how to do this healing, how to get into a deeper level of self-trust with myself. And as a clinical hypnotherapist, I actually ran the numbers recently, and I am approaching 10,000 sessions that I have actually helped and other people with. And so a lot of people come to me with wanting to be able to achieve their goals and feel like they cannot keep the promises they make to themselves and struggle to stay consistent with either their health or certain new things that they need to do in their business. So I found both from my own experience and professional experience, that there's a couple of things we need to do that are counterintuitive that you wouldn't really think. Most motivational content is like rah, 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 affirmations, hype, yes, yes, keep going, like have more willpower, you just gotta want it more. And even like a lot of the sort of advice you might see, it's like you have to have more self-worth. Yes, that is true, but you have to have trust established first. So I have a counterintuitive way to actually take people through this process of deep, deep inner healing that leads to this foundation of trust that you can then springboard off into new action from. So I have this really amazing workshop. It's a 2-hour workshop. We do self-hypnosis and deep identity work that shifts the way you relate to your own needs, your own inner child, and also a way to communicate with the subconscious mind that will spring you into action. All in a way that you trust yourself more, not in a way where you're like, being like bossy and hard on yourself and then trying to rebel against that. Like, no, that is not the energy anymore. It is time to step into your self-disciplined era in a way of loving yourself, in a way of doing new things as an act of love. That's what it's all about for me. So all of the information is in the description below for you to come and join this workshop. Super, super powerful. And also included is it's a 2-hour workshop, and then there's a 20-minute daily self-hypnosis recording that you can listen to reinforce the new neural pathways that you'll create in the workshop. So I would love to see you there.